Hello all, welcome back to Craving Mindz. Today we are here for the last and final part of the Jack and the Beanstalk story. Hope you all remember where we had stopped last episode. If you haven't seen the video yet, then please do click on the link above and please watch it. Now let's continue with the story. Jack was determined to go up the beanstalk again to find some more of the giant's treasures. For that, he had a dress prepared which would disguise him, and with something to discolor his skin. He thought that it would be impossible for anyone to recollect him. One fine morning, he rose very early, put on his disguise, changed his complexion, and unseen by anyone, climbed the beanstalk. He was greatly fatigued when he reached the top and very hungry. He rested for some time on one of the stones and then he pursued his journey to the giant's mansion. He reached the mansion late in the evening and the giant's wife was standing at the door as usual. Jack accosted her, at the same time telling a pitiful tale, and requested, "Please, give me some food and drink and a night's lodging." She told him what he knew beforehand concerning her husband, and also that one night she had admitted a hungry, distressed boy who was half dead with traveling. She added, "He stole one of my husband's treasures. And ever since that, he is worse than before and continually upbraids me with being the cause of his loss." Jack was at no loss to discover that he was attending to the account of a story in which he was the principal actor. He did his best to persuade the good woman to admit him, but he found it a very hard task indeed. At last she consented, and as she led the way, Jack observed that everything was just as he had found it before. She took him into the kitchen and hid him behind the same old cupboard. The giant returned at the usual time and walked in so heavily that the house was shaken to the foundation.
Fee, fee, for fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or he be dead, I will have his bones to grind my bread.
The wife replied, "Oh, the crows had brought a piece of carrion and laid it at the top of the house upon the leads." The giant seemed to believe her and ordered her to lay down his supper on the table quickly. While supper was being prepared, the giant was very ill-tempered and impatient, frequently lifting up his hand to strike his wife for not being quick enough. She, however, was always fortunate enough to elude the blow. The giant, at last, having finished his voracious supper and eaten till he was quite satisfied, said to his wife,
I must have something to amuse me, either my bags of money or my harp.
His wife brought him the harp and 2 huge bags of silver and gold coins. He first counted the silver and gold coins he had. Jack peeped, and he soon saw the most beautiful harp that we imagined, when the giant said,
Play.
It instantly played of its own accord without being touched. The music was very fine. Jack was delighted and felt anxious to get the harp into his possession. All this time, Jack was quietly watching all this from his hiding place. The giant played the harp for some time, and the music lulled him into a sound sleep, and he began to snore loudly. Jack compared his snore to nothing but the roaring of the sea in a high wind, when the tide was coming in. At last, Jack, concluding him to be asleep and therefore secure, stole out of his hiding place and approached the giant in order to carry off the 2 bags of money and the harp. But just as he laid his hand upon one of the bags, a ferocious-looking dog that he had not perceived before started out from behind the fireplace and barked at Jack most furiously. Fear rooted Jack to the spot, expecting his enemy to wake up at any minute. The dog's barking made the giant and his wife wake up. In addition to that, the harp, which turned out to be a fairy, called out loudly, "Master! Master!" The giant awoke, stood up, and tried to pursue Jack, but he had drunk so much that he could not stand. Poor Jack ran as fast as he could. In a little time, the giant was sufficiently recovered to walk slowly. Had he been sober, he would have overtaken Jack instantly. Jack managed to reach first at the top of the beanstalk, the giant calling to him all the way he went, and sometimes he was very near to him. The moment Jack reached the ground, he took a hatchet. At the same time, the giant was just beginning to climb down the beanstalk. But Jack, with his hatchet, cut the beanstalk close off to the root, which made the giant fall into the garden. That fall killed him. Meanwhile, Jack's mother, who was unaware of all these things, was weeping bitterly, thinking about her son. Just then, Jack came inside the house, and his mother was extremely delighted when she came to know that the beanstalk was destroyed and the giant was no more. Jack showed her the money and the harp he had brought and told her, "Please forgive me for being the cause of your sorrow, Mother. I promise I will always be dutiful and obedient from now on." He proved true to his word, and he and his mother lived together a great many years and continued to be very happy always.
Moral of the story: make the best out of the situation. Whatever may be the situation, try to get the best possible solution or benefits even from the worst situation. When opportunity knocks, take advantage of it. Listen to your elders and do what they say. We should always remember that we need to do what we are asked by our elders. Otherwise, we might land into big trouble. We need to be careful and do not risk things when we know that the situation is worse, or else we might invite unnecessary trouble.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then please do subscribe and click on the bell notifications.